Over the course of my life, I've gone through three phases about Israel. Coming of age in New York City in the 1940s, immediately after the Holocaust, and with anti-Semitism still alive in America, I thought of myself as a fervent Zionist. I guess in a sense I still am something of a Zionist, although a lot less fervent, since I regarded the case for the creation of a Jewish state, if nothing else than as a refuge for persecuted Jews, as a compelling one. Of course, this immediately gets to the problem of where, and so I never thought of it as, the case is not necessarily in the land that's already populated by others, obviously the Palestinians. So you have to separate those two components, difficult as it may be to do. Now, in light of the history of the Jewish people, perhaps this bedrock principle of Zionism, a refuge for Jews who really need a refuge, is still, if not compelling, at least not to be dismissed, understanding the long history involved. However much it has been betrayed, and betrayed is the right word as far as I'm concerned, by Israel. While still in my first phase as a fervent Zionist, at the end of the 1950s I served as an anti-submarine warfare officer on a U.S. destroyer. And in the late 1950s, Egypt bought 4 subs from the Soviet Union. So I wrote to the Israeli embassy and I volunteered to serve as an ASW officer on one of the Israeli destroyers in the event a new war broke out with Egypt before the Israelis could train their own people. But at the same time, my views began to change and I entered into my second phase. Why? 3 things occurred. First, I began to read about, in a serious way, the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict as opposed to its mythology, which I, as almost everybody else, had accepted. Secondly, it soon became apparent that soon after the 1967 war, Gamal Abdel Nasser, before Sadat, was seeking to end the conflict, both of them, but they were being stonewalled. At that point, I felt like writing to Golda Meir and saying that if Israel blundered into an unnecessary war with Egypt, which of course it soon did, on me she should no longer depend. And third, at the same time, Foreign Affairs published George Ball's famous article, How to Save Israel in Spite of Herself, and it had a quite profound influence on me. These 3 factors impelled me into my second phase, the tough love phase, hoping that truth-telling would eventually convince the Israelis, and equally as important, probably the American Jewish community, that Israel was on the road to both a moral and security disaster and needed to come to terms with the historical truth as the first step, actually the sine qua non, of saving itself. But in the last few years, and this is quite hard to admit, let alone to say out loud, I no longer believe that tough love can work, and I no longer can say truly that I love Israel, as opposed, of course, to the many wonderful and courageous Israelis who still resist what their country has become. I no longer think Israel can be saved from itself, and it certainly cannot happen unless the American Jewish community itself, with its enormous influence on American policies, comes to grip with the true history of the conflict. So in short, Israel is no longer on the road to a moral and security disaster. It is already there, and I see no realistic prospect that it can reverse course. It is hard to see how a 2-state solution can be reached, and the 1-state solution, in quotes, to my mind, is no solution at all, but a fairy tale, which if somehow actually materialized could well be even worse than the present situation. Well, for me, that leads to the obvious question, so why bother to write about it? Well, part of the reason is illustrated by this story. One day, the governor was touring the state mental institution, and he came across a man who was completely naked, except that he had on a very elegant black top hat and beautiful black dress shoes. "Why do you run around naked?" the governor asked. "What's the difference?" the man responded. "Nobody ever comes to see me." "Then why the top hat and the dress shoes?" "Somebody might." In that spirit, I now write in the forlorn hope that truth and justice might yet prevail despite my deep pessimism. But equally, and maybe more so, I also now write in the spirit of not in my name. If you are a completely secular Jew, like me, it is hard to see what the point is of being Jewish if not to uphold the best values of Western civilization. There was a time, there was a time when it was widely accepted, and not just by Jews, that the Jewish culture and tradition was one that was particularly committed to the best values of Western civilization: reason, truth, justice. Consequently, when Israel was founded and committed itself to be a light unto the nations, few people sneered at that. No longer, needless to say, the appropriate response to what Israel has become is outrage, and so maybe that's the main reason why I continue to bang my head on this wall. Finally, is this activism or journalism, or both? I don't know. But as a lifelong academic, I prefer to think of it as scholarship in the best sense, the search for knowledge, reason, truth, and justice. Thank you.